Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia, chapter 167, A Hero's Starting Line. Alright, so, this chapter, as you can see in the title, it's nope. I'm pretty sure I put in 4 there. But, yeah, this is, this one has people up in a frenzy, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the reaction past a certain point. But this is the type of chapter where, like, one of the trusted translators, or spoilers guys, Yonko Productions, you know, he goes on the Reddit and says, you know, be ready. And it's just like, alright, you know, he's hyping things up. And now we're in a situation where we have Aoyama being super creepy at the end. And now, traitor talk is at an all-time high. But, as you can see from the video title, I'm taking the negative on this one. I don't think this is anything special. I think this is something else going on. But that's what we're going to be talking about in the video. So we're going to have a nice chat. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to see what's going on. And I'm going to put out my points in there. Very quickly, though, because I'm going to be taking the negative, though, as my argument point, I do have to, like, just put it out there. Because now we're going to be talking about the traitor thing in general. If Aoyama is actually the traitor, I will take that as a victory towards the author. Because I'm at the point where I'm thinking, nah, he's not the traitor. Given the evidence that I have and the beliefs that I have right now, I would say he's not the traitor. And if the author actually like makes it so that he is, I will respect that, because that is... Aoyama's the character that I forget to put on the relevancy chart. Aoyama's the character I forget about. The most forgettable character in my experience, and this is the one that the author is focusing on for this. Alright, yeah, you know what? That's a victory for the guy. So, you know, what I'm trying to convey is, this is all in good fun. All in good fun. Anyway, what I guess another thing I want to say is that really in the grand scheme of things, who the traitor is really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the traitor is, with the possible exception of Toru and Shinso. And the reason I'm saying that is because those two specifically tie into an overall theme of discrimination, or not a theme, an overall message about discrimination. And if either of those two were the traitor, it would be a bit of, depending on how the author handled it, it would be a bit of a faulty message being spread. It would make some points moot. If either of those two were the traitor, it would be equivalent in the worst case scenario of saying that discrimination is correct in some cases. And that's not a message that the manga should be going after preaching about it for a while. And because the Hero Academia world is so anti-discrimination in general. That said, those are the only two where it actually matters. Everyone else, it's whatever. If Ochiko's a traitor, doesn't really matter. There's nothing attacking the foundations of Hero Academia's world if it's Ochiko. If it's Kaminari, same thing. It doesn't affect the message as much as those other two do. So that's what I'm saying in general. Who the traitor is doesn't matter. All the author really has to do, he can make whoever he wants the traitor. It's his job to sell us on why they're the traitor. So as long as the author can do that, give us the rationale, give us the context to every encounter we've had before then to justify why they're a traitor, it'll all be good. And context is really what matters. And now the thing with Aoyama, looking at this guy, at the end of the chapter, he ends off with him staring off at Izuku. Very creepy. He's very stalkerish. It's very stalkerish. But I see this and it's kind of like, this can be explained in any number of ways. It could be a comedy moment coming up. It could be something else that's negative but not necessarily traitor. It could be Aoyama's just like being weird, right? Like, there's a lot of things that it could be. And in case you're thinking that last message at the end of the chapter is ominous and whatever, that last message isn't done by the author. That last message is done by the hype squad at the editorial department in Shonen Jump. Don't worry about that one. Like, it's largely irrelevant, other than to say, oh, something exciting is about to happen. Another thing that I'm going to point out there, just to kind of play devil's advocate, Izuku has a habit of overhyping situations. This is something he always does, and it's something that I always harp on whenever it pops up. But he has done something very similar to narration like this before. And I don't really think it's all that much of Izuku sometimes. I think it's more of the author has to do it to, like, get people excited. But let's go back to chapter 46. This is the narration that he gave us for chapter 46 that says, "That instant I should have pressed him harder, since I would come to think back on that day with great regret." That was an excerpt from chapter 46. This is right at the beginning of the Stain arc. And that message box, those narrations were in respect to Ida. Alright? What did that message do to readers when they read it? Oh, it made it sound really ominous. But when you look at the actual situation, when you look at what actually happened, Ida just came out with a bad arm and they took down the hero killer. And Ida, for all intents and purposes, has become a much better person in general, right? What I'm saying is, Izuku has a habit of saying things in a very ominous way when they're actually not ominous. Like when you hear, "Since I would come to think back on that day with great regret," when you hear about that, you think someone died. Someone like died and it's Izuku's fault. Or like someone went down the bad path. No, man. Like Ida made a momentary detour and then has been the one keeping Izuku off bad paths since then. Like it's just, okay, I'm getting caught up in it just because I know this is a thing with Izuku, but it's something to keep in mind. Izuku overhypes situations very often. It's happened here. It's happened with his 1,000,000% full cowl that the author had to apologize for because people took it too seriously. I personally feel it happens whenever Izuku said he was going to change fate. But hey, he pulled that one off, so he got me there. But what I'm saying is, we have to remember, this is a story, and to some degree, things are going to get skewed if the author wants to make it more exciting. And that's, I'm not gonna lie, I think that's probably something you could argue as being bad writing. I just argue it as being a sin of magazine format. That said, it's just one thing to keep in mind as we go into the anti-Aoyama's traitor defense. Next thing that I want to bring up is that one of the reasons that I don't really believe Aoyama is a traitor, although like there's still a lot of possibility to be able to twist it, is that we've seen Aoyama's flashback, sort of. We've gotten a glimpse of what he thinks on the inside, right? If we go back to chapter 108, this is the segment in the provision license exam where Aoyama had a very quick little thing where he was talking about my dreams, and then he mentioned that he always wanted to be equal with everybody else, right? That by itself is a degree of vulnerability that makes things a little bit mucky I'm trying to like go into this. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fairly confident Aoyama's not the traitor, but moments like these do kind of shake me because it's like, well, I don't know. But when you go here, like we have that little segment of him getting his little device, then we have his little segment of him talking about wanting to be equal with everybody else. The initial reaction to this could be like, this kid, he stands out so much. He made a big deal about standing out also in that little monologue of his. He talks about, like, if you think about it, he's the only person that needs a device to actually be able to function properly. That must be confidence shaking to some degree. Like, the kid can't function, as far as we know, without his belt, right? When you consider that, and you consider that he's just so weird in general, his plight of wanting to be equal with everybody else, it makes you feel like he feels lonely, like he wants to be part of the group. It makes it a much more sympathetic interpretation. However, if Aoyama twists himself into a darker character, well, what can we get? What can we use to still justify that segment of him wanting to be equal with everybody else? Well, it's pretty simple. If you imagine that the guy has narcissistic personality disorder, or you imagine that in general he's a narcissist, then we can go back to the thing where he was talking about his dreams and talking about how he wanted to be equal with everybody else, and twist it into, he is so above everybody else that he wishes everybody else was equal with him. It could be a thing where he does see himself as superior and he wishes everyone else was. That you could play that card and you could twist it and make it a much more nefarious thing with Aoyama. Other things to keep in mind as well is Aoyama's character in general. We see how he acts. He has probably a pretty good amount of confidence, or at least a facade of a good amount of confidence. And his character design, if you look at his nose is also upturned. Upturned noses are a general sign of snootiness or high class. Characters that have it are usually defined by their ability to be pricks and self-indulgent assholes. And very quickly off the top of my head, we have Excalibur from Soul Eater, if you guys watched it, and then we have Snivy the Pokemon, which was known as Smugleaf in the beginning of its lifetime. What I'm saying is, like, his character design does lead to the idea that he might be arrogant. Now, the thing is, Aoyama is also very fragile. We've seen this guy be really pathetic before. He's pathetic. And so there is that discrepancy of, like, he believes he's great, he stands out, and at the same time, he doesn't live up to that expectation, right? So if we go back to the Izuku situation, this might be also a scenario where Aoyama is getting obsessive with Izuku because Izuku stands out in ways that Aoyama can't. It's like, there's a lot of ways that we can still twist this, keep it coherent with the character, and not actually make it something that's the traitor. So, like, when I look at the situation, there's three possibilities. Either he's not the traitor, he's the traitor, or there's something else nefarious going on in general, but it's nothing having to do with traitoring. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is, if we're going into a social arc within the school, setting up Aoyama this early and him not being the traitor, he might be setting up a red herring for us to not pay attention to another character that might be making moves in this next upcoming arc. It's just a small thing, but it's one of those things that we just have to mind. Mind you, again, he looks very suspicious at the end. Now let's see, anything else I can really pull out from the little bits of Aoyama info that we have? In his monologue before he started, he wondered why he wondered to his mama and papa why he was so special, but if his, we could twist that into maybe his parents are supervillains, and like, there's a lot of ways to play this. We don't have enough information, and right now my general bias is like 90%. I'm thinking this is something else altogether. But if it is Aoyama, I'm gonna be happy, because then it means that Toru and Shinso aren't traitors, and I want that to happen, just because that'd be a giant blow to a lot of people that thought that was true, and I find that funny. I find that really funny. I think that'd be funny. I want to see it burn, man. I want to see the theory makers burn. Anyway, yeah. So Aoyama, we took up 12 minutes of the video talking about this, but I feel like it's good information, and I really enjoy talking about the nuances of the characters. Like, at this point, even if whether or not he's a traitor, I see this as just possibly some good opportunity to make Aoyama a really nuanced character, especially if you bring in that he has some weird conflicts with Izuku, and it's based and it's coherent with what he has said before in the past. I will love that characterization for the boy. I think it'd be really cool. But yeah, just remember, Izuku has a habit of overhyping things, and I think this might be one of them. Moving on, this chapter had a lot of other great things, so we're gonna move backwards. The other person to talk about, actually, Ectoplasm. He had a calculus thing, and I just thought, I'm pretty sure calculus doesn't happen in the first year of high school, but I couldn't see the upper bound for that, for the integral. If anyone can see the upper bound for the integral, we could work on it together, but we don't have to. We don't have to do math. Moving away from that, Eri. We saw something about Eri, and they made the observation about Eri's horn. If Eri's power is based on the length of that horn, I think that'd be a really great way to kind of control her. It'd be a great way to regulate her. Maybe she can't use the quirk all the time. It makes it less broken. But at the same time, Eri's horn grew like magically 3 sizes bigger when she actually started having mental trauma. So, I don't know how they're gonna work that out. I could try and look at the panels that we've had before with Eri and try to understand the causes. It could even be that the horn, when it gets too long, that's when the power goes out of control, and that could be linked to her mental state. So maybe if she gets more stressed, the horn gets bigger. But that requires me going back and making the documented cases, so I can't do it right now. Apologies. But they made the link to the horn and the power. That's pretty good. Before that, we had Endeavor. Endeavor has kinder eyes, and Inasa jumps in on it. It's funny how Inasa punches himself to say that he's rooting for Endeavor, and it's nice to see that Todoroki, or Shoto, as we see, he still has some resentment towards his father. That means his character development isn't complete. He still has to work through that, but he does give that smile at the end, and Endeavor does seem to be growing for the better. I want the guy to grow for the better. I think like Endeavor is one of the greatest forces in the My Hero Academia universe in terms of keeping the peace. So we need Endeavor to be there, and we need him to be also effective and kind enough that people love him. Moving away from that, we also have the cleanup with the kids. There was a segment where they were talking about Kami and her, just what UA and Shiketsus are going to be working on, that are going to be communicating between each other. And it's just like, the thing that I'm worried about there is that they get distracted. We have to remember this was most likely a rogue operation coming from Toga. So if they start dividing their forces or just being too paranoid about things, you know, it might serve to be a detriment to the schools in the future. But it sets up that we're going to see Kami and Inasa and Potato Boy in the future as well. So that's good. That's a very good thing. We need to see more of those characters. They're pretty cool. And then we just have the kids cleaning up at the end. We didn't get any segment with Bakugo and the Smug Boy, but maybe we'll get that in a flashback in the future. Who knows? Because it was odd that he wasn't there at all. Anyway, that's the majority of the video. Guys, let me know what you thought down below. And yeah, if anyone also, it's because the traitor, like talking about the traitor now, if Aoyama is actually a traitor, it's gonna make me look really stupid if I keep making traitor videos. But there's still a few that I want to make. We could wait 2 weeks, or I could, like, we could talk about the discrimination topic in regards to Toru and Shinso and how that how that would affect the narrative. That could be a video we could do for the future, or in a couple of days. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. That one would be going into how people react to characters and how it ignores the blatant, like, morals that the story is trying to push, because that is something interesting that happens with fans of series when they're not paying attention. We could talk about that. And there's also like a few traitor theories that are pretty much standalone and just funny in general that they exist. So we could talk about those too. Just let me know in the comments down below, and then I'll just start focusing my mind onto that kind of idea. And yeah, let me know what you think about the situation. And let's end it there. Sorry for the last little bit of rambling, but guys, I hope you have a great day, and hope you enjoyed the video. Oh, also, I forgot to make the note. Aoyama's on the second floor. What he did to get into Izuku's window is that he climbed across balconies. That's pretty obsessive. Like, I really just think Aoyama's an obsessive, creepy guy. And he's obsessive when there's someone who's doing better than him. Yeah, Aoyama. You freaking jerk. I'm never gonna forget you now.